but it's most likely going to be Gunther versus John Cena. Though I am steadfast in my belief that it should be someone who needs it, like needs the win over Cena. Because in my head, Gunther is the last fucker on the Raw roster that needs the credibility of a victory over John Cena. He has spent the majority of his WWE career as a fucking champion. He has been a main event guy since he got called up. Even when he was the mid-card title holder of the IC belt, he was still basically a main eventer. The dude was, I mean, he's been in the mention, in the marquees for almost 4 years now. So as far as I'm concerned, whoever faces Cena is someone who needs the victory over Cena, not just the match. So apparently, according to the reports, it's stating that it's supposed to be a tournament style that they are apparently going to announce on TV, that it will be a tournament because they're going to have a bunch of people after Crown Jewel start vying for the opportunity to have Cena's last match. And basically, it's going to be a bunch of big name guys, some littler name guys like NXT guys and stuff that are all going to basically be in gauntlet, not a gauntlet match, but a tournament gauntlet. Whomever comes out on top is the person that gets Cena's last match. So they're basically making people earn the opportunity to retire John Cena. In my head, I know LA Knight's in that match. I got to imagine Punk, maybe, Braun Breaker, maybe, I know there's going to be some names there, maybe Obafemi, some NXT guys. But something tells me Gunther returns after Crown Jewel, either at Crown Jewel or in November. But it's probably Gunther as much as, and based on the online response that I've seen, nobody wants to see it.
Yeah, I would much rather have either LA Knight, or Dominic Mysterio, mainly because of the fact that if it was Dom has taken in so much of the character of Eddie Guerrero that it would essentially just put in that spot as a whole thing for Eddie. So
I don't know. I don't like it because a lot of
Dom outgrew that already. If it's going to be Dom versus Cena,
he's still been doing the whole lie, cheat, steal, all of that.
But that would be so shitty if you put Dom in that spot for John Cena just so it all can focus on Eddie Guerrero.
Exactly. It takes away from Dom himself.
Like, not to mention, though, my thought process is also Sting has done this once before. It could be the way that they turn Cena into that Grand Slam champion. And then if he's got one more appearance left after that, I'm not exactly sure.
He doesn't. December 13th is it. If he appears anytime after that, it's a farewell on Raw.
Because what Sting has done is he's become champion and then immediately relinquished it.
That automatically, in my opinion, devalues the title. You automatically beat a guy who could have kept himself strong holding it just so you could throw it on Cena for a feel-good moment so he could then relinquish it. And then now we got to have a whole nother fucking tournament to recrown someone as champion. Like, it's nice as a sentiment that would be. The ship fucking sailed. If they wanted to do that with Cena, they could have done that immediately after he dropped the title to fucking to Cody at SummerSlam. They could have had him beat Sammy for it in the open challenge, but then it devalues Sammy, whom just won it. You know what I'm saying? There was never a point in time where it made sense this final year. I genuinely think, as far as it goes, that when it's over, it's over. Cena's made that clear, but you got to think, who needs it the most on the roster? Who makes the most sense? And in my head, I'm sorry, LA's the only guy. He's never had a world championship. He's just gotten the main event, and he's hot as fucking hell right now. It shouldn't be the Usos. It shouldn't be Roman. It shouldn't be Brock again. It does need to be Cody. We've done Randy. We've done CM Punk. Batista's retired. That ship has sailed. Someone said Undertaker. We already had that fucking squash match at WrestleMania.
He's like 80 years old.
He ain't 80, but
I had people saying it should be Braun Breaker. That's one I agree with. I had someone say Bronson Reed. That's okay, but Bronson's getting a huge rub this weekend just having a match with Roman. it's just like people were like Seth Rollins. We could have done Seth a couple months ago. Now it doesn't make sense for Seth to have Cena's last match because what does Seth gain from it? He's beaten Cena before. It doesn't mean anything. That's what I'm saying. His last match needs to be somebody whom he has never faced, whom has never pinned him, nor is someone he himself has ever pinned. The final match should be fresh, have stakes, and the stake is the person who beats him gets the fucking rub of defeating John fucking Cena in the main event in his last match ever and retiring him. It is supposed to mean something, and it's only going to mean more if it is someone who is up and coming or has been up and coming and never got their due. And I'm sorry, Braun Breaker's getting the due of the century. So to me, when I hear that, I go, it's got to be LA Knight.
Yeah, because LA Knight has been screwed over time and time and time again.
But LA is also the only active roster member that has a story left with Cena that is yet to be told.
That
one that they already started. No one else. You could have said AJ, they're telling that story this weekend. Okay. Could have said Cody, already told it. Randy, already told it. Punk, already ran it back. He never even crossed paths with Gunther. There was never so for me, it's just like LA and him had this whole, will they, won't they thing 2 years ago. They backed each other up. Cena put him over in the fucking on the presser, and LA put him back over. And, they worked together, shook hands in the ring and everything. That right there is something we never got to see the conclusion. What if these two had a match with something that was put out into the ether back then? We never got a final chapter on that. Everything else has been told, and anybody else he can have a match with doesn't work for the company anymore, doesn't even wrestle anymore. So
I thought we were gonna save this for Thursday, but
we can do it on Thursday too for the people who didn't listen to the podcast.
Shout out to Toxic, said I enjoyed watching in person. Yeah, I bet you did.
Tonight's episode of Raw was
one hell of a show. Also, shout out to Chris Amo, says good morning. Holy shit, wonder what part of the world they're from.
I was about to say, they're clearly all the way across the world because
somewhere in the East. But also, happy early birthday shout out to Toxic, our boy who is one of our faithful panel members here, who for his birthday was live for Monday Night Raw in Dallas, Texas tonight, and has a birthday this Thursday. So happy early birthday,
motherfucker.
And one hell of an episode of Monday Night Raw he decided to go to. It was a lot to talk about, dude. We got a lot
to acknowledge his tribal chief, got to yeet with main event Jey Uso. Like, holy shit.
Definitely one of Raw's better go-home shows of the year, for sure.
Well, let's get into it then. But before I do that, we are going to talk more about the whole Gunther possibly being John Cena's final opponent this Thursday with my one-on-one with Mr. Blood on TikTok Live, because I have a crazy ass prediction when it comes to this. But I'll save it for Thursday.
Okay.
All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Snug Wrestling Podcast. My name is Edgar. I am the host, and we are getting closer and closer to Perth, Crown Jewel, Australia, where we're going to have to wake up at the fucking ass crack of dawn to watch this fucking thing. And apparently, we're going to have to do it a few times because Friday Night SmackDown is in Australia, then Crown Jewel, and then the following Monday Night Raw is going to be at fucking Australia also. So
ungodly,
unfortunately, but you know what? That's a problem for another day. What we're here for tonight is this episode of Monday Night Raw. I loved it, man. I got a double main event feeling tonight with the last two matches. I thought were awesome. But what were you guys' overall thoughts on this go home show for Crown Jewel this weekend?
I definitely thought it was not a complete return to form for go home shows in this of the year 2025 in WWE, because let's be honest, and we've all said it, it's been said by others that ad nauseum, it feels like the go home shows just don't matter anymore. Like they're not what they used to be. 10, 15 years ago, they were fucking huge. They were massive deals, even upwards of 4 or 5 years ago, even during COVID, a go home show, the biggest angles happened, the craziest shit happened, plot twists happened, and you felt like you really, really, really had to tune into these shows. It just feels like because this year, it's just started feeling like because WWE and TKO have been pumping out as many PLEs as they can fucking think of on a fucking almost bi-weekly basis, it seems at this point, especially from the spring to summer stretch we were all in, where we were exhausted doing wrestling content, specifically Edgar over here. And legitimately, it felt like the go home shows didn't really mean much for most of this year because it just felt like they were in such a rush to get to the show so they could plan for the next show and then get to that show, then plan for the next show and wash, rinse, and repeat. So it never felt like we were really getting these hard hitting, bite your fingernails, lean into the TV, go home shows that we used to get on a regular basis where they felt special. Again, go home shows used to have the biggest plot twists. The biggest moments, crazy angles, psychotic last minute returns, betrayals, heel turns, face turns. And it just feels like for the most part this year, especially SmackDown being extremely guilty of this, the go home shows just feel like regular fucking random episodes sometimes where nothing of note happens. And then they're like, but don't forget, because you love WWE, we know you're going to tune in anyway. So we're just going to tell you what time to tune in. And that's what it's felt like. Tonight was a nice surprise where it felt like genuinely we had some shit to talk about.
Oh yeah, completely agree on that. That's been the biggest issue with go home shows in general as of recently, is just the fact that they're just like, hey, know what? We're just gonna randomly do shit. That's about it. But really, other than that, the go home shows entirely have mainly just been, hey, we're gonna do this. Nothing really special is gonna happen. That's it. But it seems like today it was totally different. Like there were actually some big things that happened. And hopefully Friday morning for us, that is 8 a.m. On in Florida, 5 a.m. in California, 7 a.m. for me. This whole thing, hopefully we get better go home shows when it comes to SmackDown compared to what we've gotten, because holy shit, SmackDown go home shows have been trash.
Yeah, and last week's episode of SmackDown wasn't very exciting either, which is kind of worries me because I'm like, do I really want to wake up at fucking 5 a.m. on a Friday to watch it? I mean, especially after week's SmackDown, this episode of Monday Night Raw was a lot fucking better than last week's SmackDown. So I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm gonna wake up that early for SmackDown, dude, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Snug, I think you're glitching a little bit. Tommy, are you hearing that?
Yeah, he is.
Uh-oh.
Your frame rate dropped significantly and your microphone's jittering all over the place.
Well, hopefully the audio caught it. Can you guys hear me?
You are
we can
still
hear you.
glitching worth crazy.
What the hell? That's weird.
Hold on, I'm gonna listen to the live.
Here we go. We were doing so good.
Listen to the live. Yeah, it's on the recording.
Okay. All right. Let's get this thing going then. The OTC. Roman Reigns was in Dallas to bless us with his presence after he came back last week unexpectedly. And he got interrupted by Bronson Reed and Paul Heyman. Now, there was reports going on the internet before SmackDown that Roman Reigns versus Bronson Reed was going to get added to the card for Crown Jewel in Perth. And there was going to have some type of speculation, some type of gimmick match between Bronson Reed and Roman Reigns. And that's exactly what happened. The reports are true. Paul Heyman made the announcement that Roman Reigns and Bronson Reed are going to face each other at Crown Jewel, and it's most likely going to be the main event, according to those same reports, in a Australian street fight. Okay. It's just a street fight, right? Why? Okay. It's because it's happening in Australia. They're calling it an Australian street fight. I don't know if there's going to be a difference there, but it is Australia. Bronson Reed is Australian, and it's only right that Bronson Reed gets to wrestle in his home country versus one of the biggest stars in Roman Reigns. I don't think it was really necessary to add that stipulation, but hey, it is what it is. What did you guys think about the announcement and this opening segment?
You know what it reminds me of? Captain America Civil War, where Bucky and and Falcon are running in the airport, and they see Spider-Man swinging outside the window, and you just hear freaking Bucky go, "What the hell is that?" And Sam goes, "Everybody's got a gimmick now." And that's what it feels like every fucking time they do a DQ match. It's not a DQ match. It's a Donnybrook match or a Chicago street fight match or an Australian street fight match. Like everything has a fucking gimmick of a Viking rules match. Like this year, we have had like no less than 15 different types of DQ matches that are just not called no DQ. Like they have some elaborate name or something so on the nose, it's fucking laughable. I will disagree with you on one thing. It is definitely not the main event. In fact, because Roman's contract says he either opens or he closes the show, I guarantee you they are the opener because there's no way they don't put Cody and Seth on last. Also, because you're going to want to have the moment where they crown the victor with the title and the ring for the Crown Jewel Championship. Guarantee you that will be the main event. As far as, and also that's probably going to be the main event that has the most shenanigans and shit in it. Because in that promo we saw tonight between Cody and Seth, they also said, hey, bring, you better bring everything. Hell, you better bring everyone. And I assume that's what's going to happen. People going to show up. And my prediction is Brock Lesnar. But as far as it's concerned, I do think this opening segment was fine. I'm glad that, again, Bronson Reed's getting to talk. I think my favorite thing about this, because I'm in such high spirits for Bronson's career right now, is that I do think that they are really trying to show that it's not just Braun Breaker that they care about out of the two of them. They're going to great lengths to show just how seriously they take Bronson Reed's push as well, putting him in a high-profile match against Roman Reigns one-on-one is insanely good. And if I remember correctly, they've already faced one-on-one once before, have they not? Did they have a one-on-one match within the last 2 months? Because I feel like they did.
I think they did. It sounds familiar.
It wasn't WrestlePalooza, was it? No, because Roman wasn't on that card. But it's one of those things where it's just like, oh no, it might have been WrestlePalooza because remember, Jey Uso came out to save him from the tsunamis. They did have a one-on-one match, didn't they? Tommy's looking it up, he'll tell me. But I think that it's incredibly important for his career that he is getting this spotlight and this shine. And I mean, it just goes to show that Roman doesn't have to be a champion for having a match with him means something. That's how big a star Roman is. And to me, this is just, full steam ahead on Bronson Reed, and I'm fucking here for it. I really am. I think the stipulation doesn't need to be there either. I agree with you 100%. But I do think that if it's going to happen, it's for interference sake, most likely.
It seems to be Clash in Paris.
Yeah, that was when they had the one-on-one match, and then he got tsunami'd and speared and everything else. Jay came out and tried to save him before Jay had to go into that main event for the triple threat against Seth and LA Knight. That's what it was.
So great, but I have said this. Yeah. So I have said this time and time and time again. At this point, WWE's random response is, oh, we're going to have a PLE at this place. Okay, let's put in a fucking street fight of some sort. That is my biggest problem. It seems like wherever they go, their immediate response is, well, now we have to put a street fight on this card. Why? I get it. He's Australian. You're in Australia. You're going to have this happen. But the way Paul Heyman put it out there, why, dude? It's just like, hey, this is a match where he's never been defeated. This match is the reason why this man was called up and signed and all of that. So we're going to have an Australian street fight. Really? You're going to make that announcement, make it official, and then randomly walk out? We all knew they weren't just going to fucking walk out. There was no possible way. So these two had to just hit it off at some point. And I knew that as soon as Paul Heyman was about to walk away, Roman was going to stop him. And that's when that brawl was going to happen. And I was exactly right. And it is honestly expected at this point that there is going to be a street fight somehow on practically every PLE card at this point.
Yeah, it sure seems, it feels that way for sure. And I understand why they're doing it. I mean, the reason why, the way that Roman Reigns got taken out last month by Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, that he was stretchered out. And Paul Heyman talked about this, like, even Bronson Reed was like, none of your family members were ever stretchered out, but I did that to you. I was the first person to put Roman Reigns on a stretcher. So it makes sense to have this stipulation, but like at the same time, it's not needed. Bronson Reed is a badass. Roman Reigns is a huge star. They could have just had a one-on-one. It would have been just as great, but I totally blanked and I have to edit this out. When Paul Heyman was like, oh, in a match that Bronson Reed made famous, that he's never lost before. And I mean, I couldn't even tell you, like, what match did Bronson Reed make famous? Like, was that ever a thing?
What I find funny, in a match that Bronson Reed made famous, which is the same match that no one ever heard of. Like, and by the way, it's not the reason he got called up. He was on NXT first. You know what I'm saying? Like, he got signed to the developmental brand because of this match, and he was on fucking NXT for like a year before he got called up. But like, I don't know, man. It's just everything's got a gimmick now kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And it's just a way to get Roman on the show in a story that's already being told, while also highlighting Bronson Reed, a star they're pushing heavily right now in his home country. It just all stars aligned, so why the fuck not? My thing is, It's only a no DQ match because they want interference again without anybody saying it's bullshit. Because if we're going to be honest here, the entire reason Roman got stretchered out was not just because of Bronson Reed. It's because he also got double teamed with Braun Breaker. And because if Braun Breaker wasn't there, Roman would have saved himself. But he got speared and he got attacked and he got dog walked. And remember, Bronson Reed did not fire the first shot at Roman. Braun Breaker speared him off a fucking table and through that table, and then proceeded to beat the dog piss out of him with Bronson Reed's help. And then they wind up fucking tsunamiing him after he took 2 spears, then tsunamis. So Bronson only put him there because he had help. And that's where this match is going to be, DQ or no DQ, because it means, well, now Roman can fight back any means necessary his own way too. And I think that means the Usos are probably getting involved based on what we saw later in the show in the backstage segment.
Well, now that we got the opening segment out of the way, the storytelling, the talking, the promos and stuff, let's get into the ring. We had 5 matches tonight, you guys. It seems like the WWE is doing this more and more, which is great. 3 women's matches to start off the show, and then the last 2 matches were the men's, which I thought was really interesting. And the first match was Maxine Dupri versus Becky Lynch, the Intercontinental Women's Champion. And all of a sudden, Maxine Dupri is the greatest women's wrestler of all time. And it has nothing to do with the fact that I just learned tonight that she's from my hometown of Sacramento, California. Thank you, VPN, for giving me Netflix with no commercials, because I got to see Maxine Dupri do her entrance, and she was introduced as from Sacramento, California. And I'm like, wait a fucking minute. I had no idea Maxine Dupree was a Sacktown girl. We got a lot of stars here in Sac. We got Jacob Fatu. We got Maxine Dupree. I'm pretty sure Apollo Cruz was also from Sac and Solo. So hey, we're out here. We're Maxine Dupree's putting us on the map. So I got to cheer for her by default now. And I did, and the crowd in Dallas did, and Becky Lynch, bless her again for making or trying her best to make Maxine Dupree look really good. And, it seemed like, Becky was kind of losing her patience there a couple times during the match with Maxine because it started off a little rough, but then after a while, it seemed like they finally got on the same page and the match picked up a lot more that to the point where the fans were actually giving them this is awesome chance. And Maxine Dupree actually got a win by count out. I got to be honest, you guys are gonna have to help me out because I was zoning in and out of this match because I just did not really care. But yeah, Becky Lynch just forgot to count or something. What the fuck happened?
Well, first off, before I get into that, I want to talk about how excellently and amazingly Maxine Dupree has progressed this year. And she's been on the main roster for about 2 years now. And every time she comes out there, the one thing you can say about Maxine, if you say anything at all, is that girl tries her ass off to get better every single chance she gets an opportunity to have a match. Is she the greatest wrestler in the world? No, she is still learning. She is still training. And one thing that was going viral over the weekend was videos of her training at the Heart Dungeon, where she was training and has been training for months and months and months with Natalia at her school and her and Tyson Kidd's school in Canada, where she's been busting her ass, going through the paces, trying to get better. So no matter what anybody says about Maxine, that girl is putting in serious amounts of work to perfect her craft. She's got a long way to go, but she has not only earned my respect, at this point, she deserves it. Because there are so many people who get less or equal or more TV time than Maxine that will sit in catering or sit at home and gladly take their fucking paycheck because they're contractually obligated to get paid even if they're not on TV or performing. That girl, even though she is not always on TV, is always in the building, always training, and always trying. And that's more than a lot of those people can say who are the paycheck collectors. This match was, in my opinion, her best showing she's had. Becky did a lot of the shot calling, most of the shot calling, making sure Maxine looked like $1 million. But Maxine also needs those flowers too for making herself look like $1 million because Maxine is in charge of her own selling. She's in charge of her own crowd connection, her own charisma, her own look. And speaking of look, her gear, paying homage to Natalia in a great way. Everything she did tonight, aside from two different spots where she looked like she messed up, a drop kick that should have been higher that was a middle drop kick, and then a section where she got confused in the corner. Other than that, she fucking showed up tonight. She showed up tonight. And it makes me excited to see how much more, how even better she is a year from now. Because a year today versus a year ago, night and day, this girl. She had the longest match she's ever had aside from the Royal Rumble. And she put in work. She sold her ass off. Becky screwed herself by allowing her ego to start standing on top of the announcer table and telling the crowd how great she was, while Maxine got herself off the ground and rolled her ass back in the ring, and the ref counted 10. Now, here's where the asterisk will come next to Maxine's win. The ref counted 7, 8, got annoyed at Becky. It went 9, 10 super quickly. And that's where the asterisk is going to come. But that came because Becky cornered Jessica Carr in the ring earlier in the match and got in her face to the point where Jessica screamed at Becky to get the hell out of her face and yelled at her. And I think Jessica screwed Becky on purpose because Becky would have made it with those 2 extra seconds.
What I love about this match is this. There was no Alpha Academy silliness involved whatsoever. Maxine knew what this was and took it completely seriously. There was no caterpillar. There was no nothing involving Alpha Academy. It was just her pushing herself and pushing Becky Lynch to their absolute limits. And that's what I love about this match, is the fact that Maxine knew this was a title match and went, hey, I'm going to absolutely get serious here. I'm not going to joke around. I'm not going to pull out the caterpillar out of nowhere. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to look at this completely seriously and do what I have to do to get that title around my waist. And boy, did she show out.
Was this a title match?
I could have sworn it was.
Probably, but who cares? Doesn't make a difference.
The point still stands. She absolutely showed out. And for a while there, she was on fire tonight. Holy shit. Maxine went crazy almost the entire time, but there was a big spot in that mid-ground where she was all over the place. Becky became her bitch for a bit. But that's mainly what I love about this match, is the fact that Maxine took it seriously instead of taking it like a joke, like she has the majority of the matches that she's had.
All right, I have a serious question for y'all. I know people love Maxine Dupree. I get why people like her, but why does she get a pass? Like, why can't you guys critique Maxine Dupree's matches with the same goggles that you guys use when you guys are watching a Tiffany Stratton match or a Jade Cargill match or a Nia Jax match? Like, we critique the hell out of, all these other female wrestlers, but Maxine Dupree gets a pass?
I'll tell you why. The girls you just mentioned all have one thing in common. They've been doing it 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 times longer than Maxine, and they're still fucking up on rookie shit. Maxine is as new as the day is fucking quick. And that girl has literally, consistently, in my opinion, she's put in more time training than Jade Cargill has since Jade has been in the WWE. And it shows, because all the time that Maxine doesn't have on TV, she's in the dungeon. She's been in the dungeon. I follow her on TikTok. She is literally always training with Natalya. Every chance she gets, she's working with Natalya, with Tyson. She's working with their people at the gym, putting in her fucking reps in the ring. Jade, Tiffany could learn something from her. How is a girl who's been doing this shit for a cup of coffee that is still warm putting in more effort on a consistent basis with 10 times less the TV time, the fucking promotion, and the spotlight than the girls who are vying for a title or have a fucking championship in a main event slot? That's why I don't critique her as hard as them, because they should be better and not be fucking up the shit they're doing on a weekly fucking basis with the amount of experience they have over this girl.
Your boy Slicktavia says, what's up, blood?
What's up?
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. But like, I mean, yeah, maybe Maxine Dupree is like, doing all this training and putting in the work and all that. But like, we don't, just because Jade and fucking all those other women don't put it on their social media doesn't mean that they're not. Like, we don't know that.
The difference is whether they document their training or not. I can tell when they're in the ring that they are nowhere near ready for the spots that they are both currently in. Maxine is in a rookie position and has been with the company for years and has maintained a rookie position. She came in not as a wrestler, as a manager. She learned how to wrestle in WWE. These girls learned how to wrestle before WWE and were trained from the ground up in NXT or trained in AEW incorrectly, and then came over and retrained and still aren't trained properly. Maxine is trying harder than both of them just to get a 9-minute match every 3 months. These girls have pay-per-views that they have to literally meticulously plan and choreograph, and they still fuck up their spots in the middle of it. There's not a single match I can think of this year that Jade and Tiffany have been in, either together or separately, where they have not botched something or nearly accidentally ended the other one's life.
I don't know, man. Their match at SummerSlam was pretty good. It was the best for Jade Cargill.
7 minutes of the most choreographed match that entire weekend. Step by step, beat for beat. And it was the quickest match that weekend to just get it off the card. And there's a reason for that. So
so you don't need, sometimes you don't need more than, you don't have, not every match has to be a fucking 30-minute banger off the wall,
No, but if you're going to sit there and run a feud for 3.5, 4 months, 7 minutes is all you're going to give a match on the biggest SummerSlam of all time. There's a reason they kept it short. They kept it short to hide Jade's inability to have a longer match, believably, and to spare Tiffany any more harm to herself that she's already. Remember, the week right before that match, she literally landed flat on her head from a swan dive. Almost broke her neck. Yes. So, the fact is, if WWE has to protect them, but they don't know who the fuck to put that title on, so they keep running this shit.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of, people breaking their necks, we're going to talk about someone who almost broke their neck tonight on Monday Night Raw, but I don't know. I just feel like, all these women, they're all on TV. They're all in the same ring. They're all, having wrestling matches. I think we should critique them all equally, no matter what,
True.
But that's just me.
When it comes to Maxine, though, my final thought on this is people love an underdog. And when you look at Maxine, you can't see anything but an underdog. Someone who is plucky, charming, charismatic. And the thing is, the fans, when they see her, they can tell how hard she's trying. And that's why they fall in love with her, because she gets a smidget of a chance every now and again to show what she's made of. And she makes the most of it every time. And the fans truly appreciate that versus someone who's on TV every fucking week and squander half of that opportunity, either through not trying or through not fucking succeeding without some type of failure along the way consistently.
Yeah. And, I'm going to give her some leeway from coming from me only because she's from Sacktown. But if it wasn't because of that, yeah. All right, let's move on. There's a shit ton of video packages and also backstage segments on this fucking 2.5, 3 hour damn near show for Monday Night Raw. But there's a couple I keep saying video packages. There's a couple backstage segments that I really want to talk about because I feel like they're worth mentioning. And we had one after this match with the Usos and Roman Reigns were backstage. And, Jey Uso's all fired up and he seems to be upset at Jimmy because of what happened last week on Monday Night Raw. Which I can't remember off the top of my head, but Jey Uso was really upset like this whole entire night, or for the past couple of weeks, it seems like. But the interesting thing about this was Roman Reigns, after Jey Uso left the picture, Roman Reigns told Jimmy, "Hey, I see everything, I hear everything, and what's wrong with Jey Uso taking advice from me?" So, some tension is building there. I'm getting flashbacks again with the bloodline fucking 2-3 years ago when they were all having issues. It seems like, they're having issues again. So I don't know how I feel about that, but what did you guys think about this whole thing with the Usos and Roman?
I think it's kind of a newer, interesting dynamic because though we've seen the inner turmoil of the bloodline at this point, like 5 different iterations or versions of it in some form of capacity or infighting, the thing is that we haven't had it where Roman for the first time isn't actually trying to manipulate Jey. He's trying to guide him and give him advice in his own way. It just sucks that Roman's advice is a little one-sided and all about yourself-isms. Like, Roman's not wrong when he says Jay needs to focus on himself. Not focusing on himself is what cost him the World Heavyweight title to Gunther, because he was constantly embroiled in shit with the Vision, and that fucked him over when the time came. The problem is also that Jay always reverts to the version of himself where he's always in his own head too much, which Jimmy pointed out tonight. But we see a newer dynamic with these three. There's no Solo, there's no Sammy, there's no Wise Man. There's just three guys who are basically fucking brothers, two of whom are actually brothers, but these guys grew up together, as we know from their real life stories. They came up together as like best fucking friends, even though they're related. You see, it's weird. Jimmy actually trying to convince Roman to get out of Jimmy's head, or out of Jay's head. But then you see Roman offer a little bit of wisdom in his own way, but it's still true. If you really want to help your brother, sometimes the best thing you can do, Jimmy, is just get out of his way. Because that's what Jay's problem is. Jay, remember what his theme song says. It's just me, Goose. And now he's starting to truly follow the lyrics to that song. When he first debuted on Raw and came back over a couple years ago, when he split from the Bloodline, it was all about him doing this for himself. And he was successful enough that he captured the Intercontinental Championship for Braun Breaker. And when he focused on himself, it led him to tag gold with Cody. When he focused on himself, it led him to the Royal Rumble. When he focused on himself, it led him to the World Heavyweight Championship. Roman's not wrong. And the thing is, Jay knows it too. But Jimmy's worried that Jay's so in his head, he's taking Roman's advice literally, like, I have to be the king. I have to be the tribal chief. And Jimmy's afraid of that because he saw it once before when they were in the heel version of the Bloodline. And Jimmy was going down a path where he couldn't be controlled or contained. And Jimmy had to keep trying to pull him back. And now we're here again, but the dynamic has shifted. So I like it. I like it a lot.
There's one thing that this reminds me of, and it does bring back to a moment with the twins. And it was after the tribal combat match, when Jimmy was trying to explain why he screwed over his own twin in that match. With him going, hey, I love you, bro. The entire reason why I did that is because I didn't want you to end up like him, corrupted. And I look back at that now, and I'm like, you know what? Technically, both sides here are right in their own possible ways here. Yes, Jay is kind of taking this a little bit literally, but not as literally as Jimmy thinks. Because what Roman is saying are really good advice here and there. Like, take yourself in, do everything for yourself. It's what led him to become the World Heavyweight Champion in the damn first place. It's because he thought about it as himself. So that's honestly how I think about this, is the fact that technically on both sides, they're both right equally.
All right, the second match was also a women's match. Lyra Valkyrie versus Roxanne Perez, and I'm probably going to be the only one that feels like that feels this way, but I enjoyed this match a lot more than the opening match with Maxine and Becky Lynch. Just the quality of the in-ring work was just a lot better, even though, you know, I'm not really, I mean, I've been liking what they've been doing with Bayley, but, you know, Roxanne and Lyra, I feel like we've seen that millions of times already, and yeah, it was nothing new, but just comparing it to the opening match, I actually really enjoyed it. You know, Roxanne was doing her heelish things, working on Lyra's arm, and they're just a lot. They were just a lot smoother working together in this match. And you have Bailey out there in Lyra's corner, which added a little more excitement to this match, I thought. But what did you guys see?
I couldn't care less about this shit, honestly. I said it in the chat, I'll say it again. This is my least interested part of the show. I was on my phone half the time. I watched it, but I said it last week, I'm going to say it again. I'm not into this Bailey multiple personalities thing. Lyra has since, like, the character of Lyra herself has just been fucked up for me since earlier this year when they had the feud with her, Bailey, and Becky. And Lyra, like, they were trying to make us feel bad for Lyra, but Lyra was the fucking problem anyway. And I'm sick and tired of seeing this just constant. I said this last week, constant interchanging some sort of these 4 fucking women in a match. This week, it's fucking Lyra versus Roxanne. Last week, it was Bailey versus who was it? Roxanne, I think, as well, or Raquel. The week before that, it was Raquel versus Bailey. The week before that, it was fucking Lyra versus Raquel. Like, I'm sick of it. Have a tag match, blow this fucking thing off, turn Bailey heel if that's what you're planning on doing, but get to the point. Because it's at this point, you're doing the same fucking thing every week. You're just changing who interferes where. So as far as I'm concerned, it's been 4 fucking weeks of this shit. And I'm not invested. I think most of it's cringe. And I'm just ready for them to fucking move on. Because I'm fucking sick of it. It's stupid. It's fucking stupid.
Could not agree more, Blood. Could not fucking agree more. Like, this entire thing with Bailey. No. The only person this shit has worked with is Mick Foley.
Here we go again.
I know, Snug. It's literally the same thing.
Yes, and we've been over it like 5 times already.
I know, but the point there still stands. He is the only man that this has ever worked with. And with Bailey, it makes even less sense. So, Bailey should just drop this entire multi-shit, because it makes no fucking sense with her. And I could not agree more with Blood. I'm kind of getting sick of the multiple different things. God damn it, Blood, the fucking Mr. Sacco. But I am also getting sick and tired. It's the same thing week after week after week. It's Raquel versus Bailey. It's just any orientation of these 4 every damn week. It's getting irritating at this point. As Blood said, get to the fucking point. Have this tag match. End this story already. Because it's getting that fucking irritating.
Well, again, I'm going to be the only one that feels this way, but I thought it was really interesting what they did after the match. Bailey, forcing Lyra Valkyrie, okay, let's go. We're going to go. We're going to go beat their ass. We're going to go. And literally, like, pulling Lyra with her. And then we fast forward a few segments after that. And Bailey and Lyra are fucking jumping on Roxanne Perez in the back. And they had a big pull apart with Adam Pearce. Yeah, but they look like the heels. Bailey and Lyra look like the heels in that moment because they were jumping either Roxanne or Raquel. I don't remember who it was.
Both of them. It was both of them because they had already thrown Roxanne into what looked like one of the boxes that they store shit in on the wheels. And then they like fucking beat the shit out of Raquel up against the wall, then yeeted her into an extra leftover security rail, which she hit pretty hard, by the way. For a second, I was a little worried about it.
It looked good. It was a good.
Yeah, I was like, please don't injure her.
Pull apart.
Yeah, it was a good pull apart, but I did catch that. I was like, they're acting a little heelish. Maybe the story goes where Lyra, she's like, you know what? Fuck it. Yeah, we can go after the tag titles, which is fine, but it's like, could you get there? My problem is that there's a difference between a long told story and taking too long to tell a story. And right now they're taking too long to tell a story because it's been 5 actual full weeks since the story started. 5. And we're like no closer to figuring out what's up with Bayley and her brain. We're no closer to figuring out, if Lyra accepts it or not. And all they keep doing is having matches with these 2 women. And it's just like, can we get a tag match? Fine. Like, we haven't had a tag match yet. Can we at least get that? Because every week it's like, well, what do we got in the card? We got this. Well, we need a 5th match. We'll throw one of those together. All right. Bayley versus Roxanne, or Lyra versus Roxanne. Let's do it. Well, didn't we do that last week? Who cares? They're going to watch it anyway, is what it feels like. And I could be interested, but they got to fucking get there.
Yeah, well, I'm interested. So we'll see what happens with Bayley and good old Lyra. Let's go to the top of the hour. I thought it was hilarious how Roman Reigns brought that up in one of the backstage segments. I believe it was the first one when Roman was telling Jay, hey, what are you gonna do to I guess focus on yourself? What are you gonna do to focus on yourself? Like who's speaking at the top of the hour? Because the top of the hour is one of the most important spots in the show, because it's like when people are switching channels from when it's the next hour is going to start. People are looking for their shows to watch, and that's when like the ratings peak, right, is at the top of the hour. And usually that's where you put like a big star or a main event person to retain those audience, and like, oh shit, look, it's somebody I know at the top of the hour. Who's speaking at the top of the hour? And Jey Uso says it's CM Punk, and then Roman just looks at Jay like, well, you better go do something about that. So at the top of the hour, we get CM Punk, and CM Punk makes it clear that he has not forgotten about his World Heavyweight Championship, which I was really relieved to hear that, because I was like getting kind of worried. Okay, now that the whole mixed tag team match with AJ Lee is out of the way, CM Punk was off TV for a few weeks, and I'm like, okay, where the fuck is he? He came back, he hasn't forgotten about Seth, and he wants to get his title shot. Perfect. Lovely to hear. But so does LA Knight. LA Knight, he brought up a lot of good points here. He was like, look, it's my time now. I deserve a shot too. You had your shot. You lost it. You've lost to Seth Rollins. Not me. I've beaten Seth Rollins. I need my shot now. But Jey Uso also wants his shot. Jey Uso came out, and this is where shit hit the fan, man. This is where they set up the main event. I believe LA Knight gets super kicked by Jay. Then, CM Punk takes out Jay. Then Jimmy Uso takes out Punk because he's got to defend his brother. What a fucking lovely segment here that we had, man. With all these guys, they all want to be champion, and that's what it's all about. And then, you got the personal issues in there too. None of these guys like each other except for Jay and Jimmy, but they barely like each other. And it was just one hell of a segment. But what did you guys see?
So I definitely loved this segment. I love, especially the idea of getting to have Punk and LA in a promo segment together. For me is always fun, because these guys are both insanely good on the mic. I gave LA Knight his props last week, where I said that to me, he is the best throwback style promo that they have in the roster. They tell you, hey, you got to sell your main event, sell your match. You got a minute and a half with Jackie Redmond, go. And he off the cuffs, like they used to in the 80s and the 90s, where they just turn to the camera. Let me talk to you. Yeah. You think you're going to do this with me? No. We're going to do this and that. And this is why you're going to tune into the match, because everybody knows whose game it is. LA Knight. Yeah. And like, he just knows how to sell everything so well off the cuff. I did notice that at one point in the promo with Punk, he did lose himself in the promo. It looked like he had to reset a little bit when he was walking around, like he lost what he was saying. Because sometimes when you go off the cuff, you trip over your words, which did happen in this promo as well. And sometimes it does happen with LA when he goes off the cuff. However, he recovered perfectly, making an anecdote about Punk being a great husband. Well, as great as a husband as I think you are, you're a trash champion. And that sparked Punk's fuse. And then we get the interruption of Jey Uso. Now, this whole thing breaks down. All three of these guys had their opportunity at freaking Clash in Paris against Seth in a fatal four-way. However, they squandered it because they didn't work together to take out take out Seth and settle it amongst themselves, right? So, and that was a lot in part Jey Uso's fault, who kept interrupting and fucking up every time LA Knight got the chance to take out Seth once and for all out of the match. There was Jey to cut him off for no reason, which was what the crux of their issue with each other was. And what I like here is that you've now given me a reason to also have an issue with Jimmy. Jimmy, who's tried to be the angel on everybody's shoulder. Can't we all just get along and help each other and let's work together? Because I smell war games, but I notice here, Jey Uso super kicks LA Knight. Okay, Jey, you're wrong. Punk sits there and goes, hey, I guess we're okay with each other. You don't got a problem with me. I'm just making sure. But he gets in Jay's face and lets him know, by the way, a lot of this shit is on you. Okay. That prompts Jey to try and do some heel shit where he tries to sneak CM Punk with a super kick. That is interrupted and saved by Jimmy Uso, who holds his brother. Jimmy's doing the right thing. Keep the peace. Hey, don't do something you're going to regret. They're still allies in a sense against the Vision. Punk rightfully gets angry that he was about to get kicked in the face just for speaking facts. Tries to get in Jay's face. Jimmy tries to keep the peace, punches Jey in the top of the head. Fair. That's fair. You just tried to fucking sneak attack me. That then prompts the first shot we see of Jimmy on the wrong side of this. He fucking super kicks CM Punk for defending himself. And that's where I was pissed at Jimmy. And I like that wrinkle because now you forced Jimmy to hurt an ally he was trying to keep just because you're hot-headed, Jey. And you're returning to hot-headed Jey like you were in the bloodline, causing problems because you can't hold your temper. And I like that now Jimmy is stuck in the middle of trying to keep peace with these guys to help them fight the Vision collectively and also being a brother.
One of the best comebacks I've heard from Punk. One of. Definitely not the best, but one of. Was the whole, who hasn't gotten his shoulders pinned, all of that? Punk's response, same man who hasn't become world champion yet. Holy shit, Punk. You really, really wanted to get under this man's skin real quick. That's exactly what you did, though. And it worked perfectly. Then Jey came out, all of that. Honestly, I'm glad we got the match that we did for the main event, which was the Usos against LA Knight and CM Punk. We will talk about that match here in a hot minute. But I will say this, the way that they brought this match into the main event, chef's fucking kiss. It was perfect. I absolutely loved how they brought in the main event and how they introduced it.
Shout out to Phantom Gale says, I love this conversation. Thanks, dude. Thanks for hanging out with us. Yeah, man, this was excellent, man. And even makes me not really care about like, okay, well, who's the heel, who's the face? Like I honestly didn't even care at this point, which I'm usually a fucking stickler when it comes to stuff like that. I just wanted to see them go at it, but we did. They set up the main event later on, but my only question about this whole thing to you guys now, tell me what you guys think about this. We have Punk, we have Knight, we have Jay, who all want the fucking World Heavyweight Championship, which is fair. Those are all top guys on Monday Night Raw. Who gets it first and how? I mean, at least who gets the shot first and how do they do it? A triple threat? That's what I'm afraid of.
I think a triple threat number one contendership, or another fatal four-way. But here's the thing. We already had the fatal four-way. We know how it went the last time. I think because we've already done the fatal four-way, they already pulled the trigger on that. I think you need a number one contendership triple threat. I think that's the only way you can settle this now, because here's the thing. All men here, though they're all at each other's throats, they're all right. Yes, LA Knight was the last person to pin Seth in a one-on-one, and he beat him twice, although one was by interference and disqualification because of Punk. But he's the last person that pinned Punk in a title match, in a match clean at Saturday night's main event over the summer. CM Punk also got screwed by Seth, and Punk has beaten Seth enough times to have a claim to that fucking title shot. He get a rematch. But Jay also has a claim. He never even got a rematch in the fucking first place. They just threw it to Gunther out of fucking nowhere. And then Gunther got to have a match against fucking Goldberg. And they only gave it to Gunther so he could have a match with Goldberg. So I think the triple threat needs to happen, because I think it's the only real way you can settle this. The question is, do you do it on a Raw or do you do it on a PLE?
As much as I know how much you hate multi-man matches like this, I have to agree it has to happen in a triple threat. And honestly, as much as I love Punk and as much as I love Jay, I think it would have to go to LA Knight via that triple threat.
Fair enough. All right, you guys. The third match and the third women's match of the night was Io Sky versus Kairi Sane. Man, this match right here. They're having a real like family drama, right? With Asuka trying to control Kairi Sane, and now Io Sky was put in the position to really like they have a lot of tension. Io Sky versus Asuka and Kairi Sane being in the middle of it. So, family drama, personal issue, really, really intense stuff going on here. The reason why they have this match. And for something like this, I was kind of hoping that the match would be a little dirtier, because it's like family fighting, right? So I was expecting, I don't know, maybe like a little hair pull, a little dirty, like wrestling or something. Like, like these are your family members, right? So like, how to get under their skin more. Who knows you better than your family, right? But it was a very flashy match. Kairi Sane and Io Sky are very talented, high flying, and everything looked really nice. And the divings and the flips and everything it looked too nice for me, for my personal taste, for a match that has this type of feud and tension going. And I'm like, man, I hope they do something like that really gets my attention to actually make this match more interesting. And I guess they fucking heard me or something. I don't know, because fucking Kairi Sane picked up Io Sky for an Alabama slam on the apron of the fucking ring and slammed Io Sky neck first on the fucking sharpest side of the ring. And I'm like, this is not what I had in mind at all. But hey, it worked. After that scary ass spot, I was like, okay, now I'm paying attention. And props to Io Sky, man. She's a tough son of a gun. After taking that, she fucking just continued the match like nothing ever fucking happened. But after that scary ass spot, they got me. What did you guys think about it?
I really loved it. And I disagree with your sentiment, only because I would agree if the situation specifically called for them to play dirty against each other. You have to think about the situation we're here in. The reason they weren't dirty is because Io has honor and Kairi is reluctant and doesn't want to hurt Io at all. So
it's a wrestling match, bro. That's the whole point.
No, but she wants to. But the thing is, she didn't want the match. Remember, she was forced into it by Asuka. Yes, so she wrestles to beat her, but she's not trying to hurt her worse, screw her over, cheat to beat her. In fact, she didn't even try to cheat to win. Asuka's the one who yanked her arms back and forced the pin to stay. Kairi was just like this and then got like this. Like, what the hell's going on? Remember, Asuka is the heel. You can argue Kairi is still a babyface being forced by a heel to do heel things, because even after the match, Kairi was sad. She wasn't happy. She doesn't want to do any of this shit. That's why I think this has become so much more interesting to me. It would have been so easy, right, to do the classic, oh, well, one turns and the other one just follows suit and now we're both heels. No, you have a baby face against a heel monster who is using another baby face and guilting her into fighting her battles for her, when all Kairi wanted was to just keep the peace and make up. But because of her indebted, her indebtion to Asuka and her friendship and sisterhood with Io, she is forced and stuck in between the two. And I like Kairi's part of the story the most, because to me, she's the one who's really getting to tell the majority of the story, that she doesn't want to do this. She doesn't want to be used like this, but she doesn't want to disrespect Asuka, but she doesn't want to hurt Io. She just wants them to be family, but she can't get what she wants. So they're both using her as a punching bag. And I think that's why I think the story is better. They had a fucking great match, a Tokyo style match, in my opinion, if I've ever seen one. Minus, like, they toned down the hard style or the strong style, but some of them shots Kairi was giving her in the back fucking hurt him. But the thing is, I'm here for it because the more it progresses, the more I really do like that feeling of Asuka and Io are both wrong in different ways. Because if Io had listened to Rhea to begin with, this wouldn't be happening. She could have just told them both to fuck off, and then it would just be it. But no, she had to play tug of war with Io and Asuka until Kairi was so distraught that she didn't know whose side to choose. And then Asuka forced her to pick a side and even slapped her across the face tonight in a segment when she begged Asuka not to make her do it. She got hit, which tells you this storyline is not just about family, it's about abuse. And Kairi, in my opinion, is the most interesting character because she is the one being abused. Emotional and physical abuse from Asuka and emotional abuse from Io, because she's stuck between both of them fighting, and she is the tug of war rope between them.
Yeah, Snug, if you look back to that backstage segment involving Adam Pearce and all of that, Kairi didn't even want this at all. As soon as she was told by Asuka the whole, on Saturday, we will teach Rhea and Io respect. Tonight, you and Io Sky, one-on-one. Yeah, I know. I'm not even trying to do the accent. I'm not even going to try.
Say it whatsoever. Like a white man.
Fuck off. But her response was, no. I don't want to fight Io. That was her response. Because she really, really doesn't. This entire situation is being pushed into this because of Asuka. Kairi wants none of this whatsoever. I mean, this was a banger match for sure. There is no doubt about that. But the truth is, Kairi wanted none of this, but is too scared to go up against Asuka because she doesn't want to disrespect everything that Asuka has done for both her and Io. That is the problem that she faces, is that she does not want to disrespect Asuka in any possible way. But this match in general, I absolutely loved. It's one of the top for sure, top 3 for me. Men definitely go above, if I'm being completely honest. But but this is absolutely the third best match of the night for me.
Jesus. I don't know. This whole thing is fucking cringe to me, dude, if I'm being honest. I mean, I can't help but compare it to what's going on with Jimmy and Jay. You think Jimmy Uso wanted to fucking super kick CM Punk? No, but he fucking did it anyway because Jay's his brother. Why can't Kairi Sane just be like, all right, Asuka, I'm gonna rock with you and we're gonna fuck up Io Sky and boom, end of story. Also,
because
hold that thought. I'm not finished. You guys, Tommy, explain this to me also when you get a chance. How is this match one of the top of the night when you had that terrible botch by Kairi Sane, and also the finish was horrible, right in front of Jessica Carr's fucking face. Asuka was holding Kairi Sane, cheated to win, right in front of her. It was just this. They had his nice moments and everything. Kairi Sane and Io Sky do nice shit when they're flying all over the place, but it was the greatest match. I don't know about that, but go ahead, Blood.
Well, two things. One, he said top 3, not greatest, and top 3 out of 5 is actually pretty fair considering the second match was all right. The first match you didn't even like. The main event was pretty quick and wrestled extremely softly, and the tag match was a 6-man tag with high flyers we've seen a million times this year. And they rushed it to get to the main event because they were already going over time because that main event started after 10:30. But as far as it goes, when it comes to this specifically, like I explained before, the reason that Kairi and Asuka and Io don't do the same thing that Jimmy and Jay could do, where they just say, fuck you, I'm going to protect you. Different cultures. Like I told you before, Japan, everything is built on who came before you, and you have to respect them in your culture. Even if they are horrible or mean, you have to pay homage to that person. It is literally a tier system in their culture. And because they were all came up in Japanese professional wrestling, that very much applies when you're talking about tradition in sport, specifically in sport. In America, it's different. We'll brawl with anybody. In Japan, nah, you better bow your fucking head, motherfucker.
So is WWE going to explain that to us then?
They have been explaining it to us. They actually have.
Really?
In fact, when
they explained us the Japanese culture.
When Kairi literally said several weeks ago, we have to respect Asuka. She's the whole reason we're here. It's because of her that we have a career here.
And that's understandable. That's great. That's great. We get that. Then respect Asuka then, Kairi.
But that is saying that without saying it as the reason that we have careers in America is because of all the work she did for us in Japan. That's too on the nose. But it's the exact same thing, just said in a different way. It's hyperbole. But I digress. Tommy?
You basically said everything that was in my head.
Well, then let's move on.
Let us move on.
All right. We got to talk about this backstage segment with Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman because, Blood, I feel like you've been saying this for weeks now because Seth Rollins had a question for Paul Heyman. What if I lose to Cody on Saturday? And Paul Heyman straight up said, well, no one's going to believe in you. Braun Breaker isn't going to believe in you. Bronson Reed ain't going to believe in you. And you're pretty much fucked if you lose to Cody Rhodes. This whole thing with the vision, the future of the company, it's pretty much it's all going to go to shit, Seth. So you better not lose to Cody on Saturday, basically, is what Paul Heyman told Seth Rollins. And no pressure, Seth. No pressure, but you better fucking win on Saturday. And if you don't, then I'm going to have to ask myself, why did I pick you over Roman Reigns? And I thought, way to fucking make this match even more interesting, I thought. Now, Seth is really against the wall here versus Cody. He has no choice but to win.
I'm going to make 2 points quickly because for the sake of time. There are things I liked and things I did not like about this. The thing I liked is that, yes, it finally confirmed what I have been saying. Yes, the stakes are high because this is a must win for Seth Rollins, not because of a championship that no one's going to give a fuck about in 2 weeks is on the line, but because how many times can you fuck up or fail before the people that you say are following you stop believing in you? And even more than that, how can you be 4-0 against the other guy you're saying should be equal to you or lesser, who is also a champion, and somehow he walks all over you, even though you say that you are the greatest? Now, the thing I didn't like, in fact, the 2 things I didn't like. One, the part 2 segment video package where he was talking about, and while you were undisputed champion, while Roman was doing whatever, on SmackDown running the bloodline, I stayed out of his way while I built my legacy on Monday Night Raw. Even though Roman lost that title in 2024, about 10 months after Seth won it. And it's like you built your legacy in one of the most mediocre title reigns you've actually had, because most of Seth's title reign for that World Heavyweight Championship the first time around was fucking boring and everybody knew it. In fact, he played backseat second fiddle for about 2.5, 3 months in the entire Bloodline, The Rock, and Cody story. He was fucking forgotten about and forgettable almost every single segment he was a part of. And that's what a lot of people kept saying was like, why is Seth even there? So when it comes down to it, yes. But the other thing I didn't like, before I pass it over to you, Tommy, was the implications. It makes sense that, yes, you would lose faith in him for not keeping up his end of the bargain. What I didn't like was, but that's also stupid as fuck. If you don't beat Cody Rhodes, if you lose to Cody, we lose faith in you. He'll still be fucking world heavyweight champion, Paul. If he doesn't win the fucking crown jewel title and ring that only gets carded out once a fucking year, that only came out last year, that no one gives a shit about, you lose faith in him. He's still the world heavyweight champion after Saturday.
Secondary champion.
Even if that were the case, he's still on the flagship #1 show, the champion of that. SmackDown is balls compared to Raw. So it's like, dude, yeah, Cody's champion, but he's champion of the second show. The Raw
Yeah, well, that's true.
Is literally the show that WWE gives a shit about the most. It's their $5 billion fucking show. So even if you lose on Saturday, Seth, you still wake up with a title in the morning, bro, and you don't got to carry around that ugly ass fucking crown jewel title. Okay? They made such a big deal out of it last year, carrying around suitcases for weeks on end, segment to segment to segment, show to show to show. And then we saw it at the show, and then never again. So don't tell me that it's that important.
My biggest problem with this entire segment, hey, Paul Heyman, what the hell is up with your obsession with bringing up Brock Lesnar every time you get the damn chance? Because this whole thing is like, oh, you are 0-3. That is a record. That is a streak. Yes, we get it. You were the man behind Brock Lesnar. The man that beat The Undertaker's streak. We get it. Stop bringing up Brock Lesnar so damn much. Stop shoving his name down our fucking throats. Even describing him. Just stop shoving down Brock Lesnar down our damn throats.
It's part of the story.
I get that, but where the fuck has Brock Lesnar been since his last match? Nowhere.
Probably in Saskatchewan.
I have a feeling, like I said, spoiler for my prediction, I think he's the ace up Paul and Seth's sleeve on Saturday. But also,
yeah, because they have a surprise like tag team partner or something, right?
It's not a tag match.
Or a 6-man, or what is it? What are they doing?
One-on-one.
It is a regular champion, brother. Match.
No, but I thought I saw something where never mind, forget it. I'm thinking about something else. My bad.
Here's the biggest qualm here, right? Is that at the end of the day, it's champion versus champion. You can bring up all these different things that you want, but at the end of the day, Seth has to win. And this segment solidified that he's definitely winning. I don't know if he's winning clean.
Did it?
Yeah. What if I lose? Why would you hark on that so much if you were actually going to have him lose?
Well, I think we should save it for the predictions.
I don't think he's going to win clean, but I would like to bring up one specific thing that these two men have in common. They've both beaten Brock Lesnar. However, Seth beat Brock first, and he beat him in less than 5 minutes. Cody literally had 3 matches with the man, got his arm broken, got his ass beat, and won the final one. So if Cody has to struggle that much to beat Brock, but Seth can go out there at WrestleMania and stomp his head into the ground so many times and only get F5 like once or twice and still beat him for the title at WrestleMania in like less than fucking 7 minutes, I don't know how Seth can't beat Cody.
Tommy, final thoughts before we move on?
Just the fact that Blood is right. This entire thing, why in the world would you harp so much on if Seth loses? He loses everything if he's just going to lose. It makes no damn sense, which means there is only one way this could go, which is Seth with this hand held high.
We'll see about that. Let's get into this 6-man tag really quickly. This was there's a lot of things happening in this match. Penta was added to this new odd tag team of AJ Styles and Dragon Lee, who apparently are going after tag team gold at some point. Penta is also going for, AJ Styles said, Dominic's Intercontinental Champion, which I thought was weird because at AAA, Penta said he was going after the AAA Mega Championship. So I guess Penta's going for both of Dominic Mysterio's titles. So everyone here is involved with each other in some way, shape, or form. Dragon Lee, we saw a little bit of Dragon Lee and Dominic Mysterio, who they're also going to have a match at AAA event October 25th. And you have the Judgment Day, Finn Balor, JD Madonna, who we already established. They're most likely going to be defending their tag team championships finally after months. We don't know when, but most likely versus AJ and Dragon Lee. And then to add more to that, Rusev came out during this match, who he also wants Dominic's Intercontinental Championship. AJ Styles got the pin for his team, which then he cut like a fucking, I don't know if you can even call it a promo, where he just said, we don't need a story between me and Cena. We're just gonna, our match is gonna kick ass. And that was it. What stood out to you guys about this whole thing?
Nothing. Look, literally, I mean, you could have taken this entire thing off the show, had AJ say that in a backstage segment, and you'd get the same effect. Like, let's be real here. We didn't need in fact, if we take out the 6-man tag, the show actually ends on time. But as far as it goes, it was fine, fun, quick match. It's luchadors and AJ Styles. What more could you fucking want with, yeah, I mean, it's just what it is. It's Judgment Day doing Judgment Day shit for 4 fucking years now, and AJ Styles with 2 high flyers. This is the most TV time Dragon Lee's had in the last like month and a half. He's had more TV time in the last month and a half than he's had in the last year and a half since he was with the LWO before they sent Zelina's ass over to SmackDown. Other than that, it was fine. Inoffensive. I digress. Tommy?
Just the fact that I honestly liked this match.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, top 3. I honestly would probably put this at 2, if I'm being completely honest. The main event is obviously number 1. There ain't no doubt about that. Now, this whole thing, I honestly still probably would have taken this match out just because time. Because of this match going as long as it did, if they shortened it, this sucker would have ended on time. Because that main event it did start before that time limit. And then because of how long this match went, 5 extra minutes was added to the damn show. That's my biggest issue, is how long this match actually went on.
Yeah, the other thing too that I forgot to mention, the fact that Dominic Mysterio took off, he just ditched. He was just like, I'm out this match, grabbed his titles, ran because Rusev was coming after him. That pretty much left JD Madonna open to get Styles Clash, and I know that's going to come back and bite Dom in the ass. Finn Balor is probably not going to be happy about that. So it adds more to that story that they got going on. So a lot of stuff. I thought this was the main event. And I'm like, okay, if this was a main event, I would have been good with that. I completely forgot about the actual main event, which I kind of felt like this was a double main event show for Monday Night Raw. The actual one was Punk and LA Knight, the tag team match versus the Usos. Star-studded main event. Top guys all, having beef with each other. LA Knight and CM Punk, can they work together? Maybe, maybe not. So that was interesting. Jimmy and Jay, they have their things going on, but they kind of felt like the heels in this match, which I thought was great. It was a nice change in scenery for the main event also. It's good to have CM Punk back. And I'm interested to see what's going to happen next. LA Knight and CM Punk picked up the win after CM Punk hit Jey Uso with the go to sleep. LA Knight tagged himself in, kind of like, The Miz and Carmelo Hayes have been doing, and basically stole the win from CM Punk. But Jey Uso taking the pin, he's not going to be happy about that. And he's most likely going to blame Jey Uso. A lot of interesting stuff here in this main event, I thought, but what did you guys think?
I thought, I'm honestly not that high on this main event. I thought it was done very fucking quickly for the sake of time. It felt like we skipped the entire middle of what would have been this match. I honestly feel like we had the beginning and then they rushed to the end. I will say that I like that LA Knight blind tagged himself in on Punk after he hit the GTS. Just because it's kind of weird that CM Punk would hit a GTS, not just drop onto him for a pin, right? He just, why lean back in the corner? You did that to yourself, Punk, and that's my boy I'm talking about. So he gets blind tagged. LA just picks up the pin. So now LA can just say, hey, I pinned your ass last week. And you still think that you deserve to be the champion? Nah. Now I've pinned 2 former world champions. I pinned Seth Rollins and I pinned your ass last week. That's the, whatever, yada, yada. I should be the number 1 contender because I pinned 2 former world champions. In fact, I've pinned 2 champions that have been champion this year. Yeah. Like that kind of feeds into LA Knight. He also stole the pin from another former world champion. So there are 3 champions he's got a problem with, or former or current, that he has pinned or gotten one over on all in the span of 3.5 months. So I think that's great. It's also nice not to see fucking Jay and Jimmy in some fucking combination with LA Knight versus the Vision in the main event for the first time in fucking 4 months. Other than that, nice way to kick off or end the show. Makes me wonder how this will feed into Crown Jewel for sure. Because you got to wonder if the Usos get involved with Bronson Reed and Roman. That you've got to wonder, because they don't have a match this weekend, as far as I'm aware. So as far as it goes, I think we have to look forward to that. But when it comes to Punk versus Cody, he did say earlier in the night that he promised Cody he would stay out of Cody's business. But if Seth winds up involving the Vision and involving, let's say, Brock Lesnar, makes you wonder, is Seth gonna, or is CM Punk gonna honor that, or is he gonna run out there and try to get his pound of flesh? And maybe all that confusion is what causes Cody to lose his title, provoking him to come out next Monday and go, you told me you'd stay out of my business, and I lost.
Yeah, but my whole thing on this match, I'm going to keep this as brief as possible since we have gone as long as we have. I actually really like this match. As I've already said, match of the night for me. There is no doubt about that. This whole tag match, absolutely loved it from top to bottom. Now, what I also love is the fact that the Usos did split up at one point to deal with each of the members themselves. Jimmy went after Knight, I believe it was, and Jay went after Punk. That itself was absolutely perfect. As I said, this was match of the night for me.
Well, yeah, we definitely went a little bit over. I knew this episode, this review was going to be longer because there was a lot that happened on this episode of Monday Night Raw. The go-home show for Crown Jewel in Australia this weekend, and we got a busy week whenever there's PLEs coming up. So, Mr. Blood, take us home.
Absolutely. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of Snug Wrestling, folks. Thanks for kicking it with us. We appreciate every single one of you for tuning in. Don't forget, we're live every Monday and Friday night right after Raw and SmackDown go off the air on YouTube, Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it, and Facebook for live post-show reviews, and as a bonus for reaction content during the weekly WWE broadcasts on all of our social media. Then hang out with us every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern and 6 p.m. Pacific on TikTok Live, where myself, Mr. Blood, and the leader of Snug Wrestling, that handsome Mexican over there, Edgar, do our weekly one-on-ones where we dive into random wrestling topics and answer your fan questions live. So follow Snug Wrestling on all social media platforms, as well as on Apple and Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And mark your calendars. This upcoming Wednesday, October 8th, we are doing our predictions for this Saturday's Crown Jewel. Until next time, stay safe, stay savage, and stay snug. And because our boy Toxic was actually live at Raw tonight, I said, that's one time for the one time. That's four letters. One word. Yeet.